Do it.
But a clap wouldn't?
No.
I don't understand.
A clap wouldn't work quite as well, I don't think.
Why? You could see it in the thing.
I don't think I could.
Very, very visible.
And I could only see it in yours. I wouldn't see it in mine as well. That's the point. Like it needs to be two. It needs to be two things.
I mean, you can't hear my voice in your... You can't see my voice in your thing anyway.
But therein lies the issue, Lachlan. Are you including...
You can clap as well.
Are you including your audio?
Yeah.
Alright, sick. Love it. Are you recording your audio?
Yeah.
Alright,
I've been recording
sick.
my audio for
Love
the
it.
last 4 minutes.
Like if I'm just looking at a waveform and you clap, all I see on the waveform is your clap. I don't see anything from me. I don't know where that's supposed to go. I don't know how.
No, and then you're supposed to clap as well. We're both supposed to clap
Yeah, that's silly.
at the same time, and then you can just sync that up. I mean, if we're in the same room, it would make more sense.
Yeah, it would. And if you record, like, I actually got in trouble because I fucked up a clap sync in short film production the other day.
Yeah. You're supposed to get it good. You're supposed to do it well.
Look, it wasn't my fault. I couldn't see anything. There were lights in my eyes. And also the fucking camera
Don't they
operator
count
was
it in?
mad quiet. No, they just go mark, and then you go clap it
Then you
and
clap.
take.
Well, then that shouldn't be too difficult.
The guy was really quiet to begin with, so I could barely hear
Oh.
him.
Sounds like excuses.
Yeah, they are, but it's fine. They're valid. Oh, nope. That's not the point. That's not why we're here.
Face is valid.
We're not here to discuss the myriad ways that I fail as a filmmaker. Dude, that film I made today, though, it's a spicy cup of tea is what it is.
It was interesting. I might have to watch it on a bigger screen because I couldn't read it at all. And the sound was all messed up, but you know.
The sound is a little spotty because the song that I used is like a demo version of that song, so it has a bunch of stuff in it that's like, go to this place and download this software. So I just cut those parts out. So it's a little wonky. It doesn't quite match up right. But I think it's fine.
That was kind of my issues. I was listening to it and then it would skip. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, it does occasionally skip a beat. But that's fine. Alright. Hang on, I'm scrolling through my stuff. I say scrolling, I'm actually turning pages.
Coronavirus. Step 1.
Dude, coronavirus? Fucking everybody's getting fucked up by coronavirus. Alright,
I don't
so
know if the podcast
coronavirus.
has actually started yet. We haven't said hello.
Who the fuck cares at this point?
Oh, damn. He doesn't care about you.
Look, if you wanna introduce yourself, you can introduce yourself.
I'm Lachlan.
Alright,
I'm not going to
Lovely.
introduce you, though.
That's
you don't,
fine.
You don't exist.
that's okay. Alright, so coronavirus.
Welcome to the
Everyone's
Woefully
mad about it,
Underprepared
or rather,
podcast.
everyone's trying to not be mad about it. So, this list is, as of recording, it might change. Actually, I think PAX might have already happened by the time this comes out. I don't know the dates for it. I probably should, but I don't. Alright,
Neither.
so, everybody be pulling out of all the conventions ever.
We'll take a look.
Because they don't want to get coronavirus, basically.
Are any of these conventions in China?
No,
I'm pretty sure none of them are. Yeah.
but
So,
it's still
what?
if there's a mass gathering of people, that massively increases the risk of one of your employees getting
It's true.
coronavirus.
And planes
then you're
are
liable
generally,
for $1 billion.
So, what exactly is the
So they're
issue?
just we're not going, fuck off.
Recreated entrance, the root mine.
And also,
I thought I could control
typically speaking, if
You always do. That's why people talk.
I actually didn't know this till the other day.
Now that Noctis
Or
has fallen,
I kind of
the
didn't
root
know it.
mind is attempting to take its place and govern the forest.
If
What did you know?
pandemic reaches a certain level in a country, or an epidemic reaches a certain level in a country, the government can ban mass congregations of people.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
They can close
Pretty
schools.
handy.
They can basically shut down the entire country. Which is kind of
Yeah,
what they've
they
done
should
in
be-
China, which is like crazy. Like they've bolted people in their like houses.
Yeah, I mean that's what you have to do.
But
So people-
that
I mean,
said, the coronavirus
isn't
has currently
as-
peaked in China, and the numbers are now going down.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it's more akin to like pneumonia. Which
Yeah,
is still
it's
a bad
real super.
virus.
Like there's a lot of like fear mongering and like alarmist journalism
Yeah, you
going
shouldn't
on.
be scared of it.
Like,
Unless
don't
if
get
you're
it
healthy, you shouldn't
because
be
it's
scared.
bad, but like you're not gonna die of it unless you're like already like old and sick.
Old
and
or
not doing
immunocompromised.
great.
Yeah.
All right,
But yeah,
so Sony will not be at PAX East, which means they cancelled the first ever hands-on with Last of Us 2.
damn.
Capcom pulled their devs out from PAX East. They still have like a Monster Hunter Fest thing going on, but there will be no
Showcase?
developers there. Square Enix scaled back their PAX East plans, and PUBG Corp are out of PAX East entirely.
All right, fun times.
So then on to GDC, which is like the following weekend, I'm pretty sure. So Sony, not going. Facebook, not going. EA's gone. Kojima Productions are not going. Epic and Microsoft are also not going. Activision is not going, and like Activision Blizzard, period, is out, gone, not going.
All right.
So basically,
That's,
every single major studio is out.
Yeah, so that's gonna hurt the numbers.
And
a little bit, just a
if they
tiny-
don't sort of sort out Corona issues soon, E3 may be a bust because people will pull out of
I
that
think
as well.
April is when it's slated to be when vaccines are slated to like start coming out and
You should
start
remember this.
working
You
their way
did
around,
great
but
the
it
first
might
time.
take a while.
I wasn't here the
It's a
first
good thing
time.
that people are like working
Someone stole my
working
shovel.
into getting a cure for it.
I borrowed it to
Sorting
save
it out,
all of
'cause
time and space.
It could be an issue, but it's not going to be that big an issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if you leave it unchecked and unmanaged, then yeah, it'll become a problem. Like
Yeah,
it'll
then it's
evolve,
an
it'll be
issue.
bad times, but
With
I mean,
radial
people seem
malaria.
pretty all over. I know
All the travelers were.
the dean of
That
students
module was
at
hiding a path.
UC
The roof was
fucking
trying to keep us
went
from that
absolutely
fire.
bonkers.
Smart.
Like over
It's
the
like, yeah,
over
you're
the
not-
summer,
none
we
of
got
you are
like
going to get it.
4 or 5 different emails that
You
were
see
like,
that beam? It's
run.
controlling this entire
Coronavirus
region
will
through a
kill
series
you.
of modules and arc energy.
And it won't stay intact for long.
Oh my god, that's
After the Guardian
stupid.
destroyed
And
the
they've
That's
Earth,
the
since like
stupidest thing I've ever
like
heard.
literally it was like every week they'd be like, these are the updates from the government. This is what we're doing. If you're in China, stay in China.
It was a
And
risk
don't
I
go
had
to
take.
because like UC has a lot
Guardian
of
has this handled.
Chinese international students, and we
Chinese
have.
students,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure we currently have students in China that are. And I'm pretty sure we have students at UC that are currently in isolation, like
Watch
they're
the
locked in
temporal
there.
shielding on that Minotaur.
Accommodation.
It'll
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know about RMIT, but
It's like you've done this before.
Yeah, they're like locked in their
that's
in
interesting.
accommodation, and you're like not allowed to talk to them, or even like. Well, you're allowed to talk to them, but you're not allowed to talk to them face to face.
I'll compose
Yeah,
the
you're not allowed to
details
speak.
It's
of
crazy, dude. It's
all
crazy.
the
It's bonkers.
No, he won't.
yeah, it's cool times. Good times. Good times for everyone
Alright, I
involved.
wouldn't call it a good time, but you know, to each their own, I guess.
You don't say. You don't say.
What?
You wouldn't call it a good time.
Alright,
it's fine.
Is there anything else
Yeah,
before
it's
we
not.
get
It's
to?
not. It's wreaking a little bit of havoc
Yes.
on the gaming industry.
Yes,
but
there
that's
is
about,
stuff
that's about
before
it.
we get to Destiny. So
Xbox Series X, wasn't it?
Yeah, Xbox boss Phil Spencer had some choice things to say about
Oh boy.
both the other console manufacturers and the future of console gaming, which I think is
You think it's gonna die?
incredibly. No, he real doesn't. So
Yeah,
he
he does.
said no, he doesn't. He did. That was
Okay,
his
you might
statement
have a
years
different
and years and years ago that he was like, "Fucking, we're moving away from consoles." But I think he's walked that back because people don't like it when you say shit like that.
All right, explain it. Explain it. Well, how do you?
So yeah, so in an interview
what
he
was
said,
his-
We We jumped off a bunch
that
of
he
rocket
doesn't
cannons.
consider
Does that count?
Nintendo and Sony as
yes.
like legitimate competition because they don't have
Yeah.
any infrastructure in the cloud space, which is where it's all going.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. I'm saying that cloud isn't really console gaming.
No, it's not.
I just think that's what it's cloud gaming. It's a different thing. So that's why I'm saying the console gaming is going to die.
Phil Spencer would disagree. He then went
After
on
this
to
generation.
elaborate when they sort of pressed him about like the future of the Xbox brand and like stuff, and he was like, he sort of said that like even a decade from now we will probably still have a console, like we will probably still have a home console. It's just that console will be capable of like streaming to multiple other devices. Like you'll only need the one, and then you can use that
Instead
one
of
to play on
data
your
centers all around
phone
the
and
world.
play,
Yeah.
which is kind of what
Trying to take control from me.
xCloud
xCloud
is,
is kind of-
which
Simulation from the rest of the
I've
players,
not
but
been
I can
part
only
of,
do
but
so
from
much to keep
all
the
reports,
So,
their
yeah,
beta is
xCloud
going
also has
really
data
well.
centers.
Won't be around for much longer.
xCloud also has data centers around the world, so it's using both the technologies. But yeah, it's interesting to see how they're planning for it to work.
Yeah. And from what I hear, their beta for xCloud is actually going really well.
Really well, better than Stadia's full product.
Look, let's not talk about Stadia, alright? I still think if they can have like their Stadia base, their free version of Stadia, if they can have like stuff on that and it works for the overwhelming majority of the market, or at least like 75% of the market, and like works well, then I reckon they got a product.
Yeah,
However,
but can their product compete? Is the
will
issue
that
there?
product be able to compete with xCloud? Which I
Or
would
anything
argue
that's coming out of
probably not.
Amazon or Google. Amazon, sorry. And Amazon are the big daddies of the cloud, so you know.
I would argue
We're gonna
Microsoft
have-
big daddies of the cloud, but whatever.
No, Amazon were the first in like cloud services.
Were they though?
Microsoft was probably the first. Yeah,
Were they though?
Microsoft were probably the first in terms of cloud gaming.
What's your source on that
Why
statement?
they kind of
What was their
I mean, you
what
can
was
just
their
Google
cloud technology that came before anything that Microsoft was doing?
AWS,
I don't know what that is.
Amazon Web Services. Dude, look, I've worked in cloud services.
Yeah, doesn't mean you're the be all and end all.
They are. They're the more mature company when it comes to cloud.
Yeah, but
Why
they're
a lot
not
of
they're
companies
not a
using
video
them
game
over
company.
Azure.
Like yeah, sure they got cloud, but like
No, yeah.
streaming a video is, or like an audio
But yeah,
book
yeah,
or
but
whatever
it's
is way different
AWS
than streaming a
versus-
fucking video game with like input
Yeah,
and
but
latency and shit.
It's AWS versus Google, right? And Google are also not really in the video game space.
Yeah, but they're in the computing space, which Amazon
So
isn't.
are Amazon.
No, they're not. They don't make
They-
computers. They make
People
a
don't make
marketplace.
Okay, you don't actually know what Amazon are doing, but that's fine.
I mean, they're currently
actually
not doing
they do-
anything. They've just like they're just sort of beefing up their cloud service
No.
to do something at some point.
Their cloud service is the best in the market.
How? Explain to me how. By what
They
metric?
just it's older. It has more stuff. It has way more offerings than any of the other cloud providers.
What do you mean
I
by
didn't
way
know-
more offerings?
I mean, you've got all the like the basic offerings that even Google Cloud has. And then you have like machine learning. They've got way more different models and stuff built on top of their cloud stuff. They've got different versions of storage that are built on top of their cloud stuff. They're the granddaddy of cloud.
I
the
don't
most
know
mature
whether
company when it comes
I
to
mean,
cloud.
just because they're the most mature,
When it comes
doesn't
to
mean they know
cloud
what
gaming,
they're doing.
Stadia might have a little bit of a leg up. I think Microsoft probably has the highest one. But when it comes to cloud in general, Amazon probably know what they're doing and they can probably overtake them.
root mine.
especially if they're working on something, which
Osiris,
they have
if you had any
technology
plans for
that
this
can.
thing when you
They've got
simulated,
streams.
I would
That's a
give you
technology
so
that they
much
own.
left.
You've done well.
Video
And that they've been working on.
Video streams are way, way,
I'll return
way
it
different to streaming a video game.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying that they have technology that they can use to leverage video games. Like they're not they haven't started their what are they called, their platform yet, but I imagine it's coming out pretty soon. They've got a multiple, I forgot what they're called. I might have to Google it in a second. But yeah, you just keep going on there.
No, I
Yeah,
think
you-
Microsoft has got this in the bag. I think they would have to try hard to fuck this up.
I think Microsoft have it in the bag, but I think Amazon might beat Google out pretty easily.
Look, Google's having a rough time. Let's not talk about Google.
Just
alright?
because Google started bad. If Amazon start with a really, really good service, which they can, okay, yeah, it's called GameLift, and fuck, I lost it.
And Nvidia have their streaming service out as well at the moment, which is again
Yeah, and
pretty
they're
good.
probably they've been doing that for a while as well. So
Alrighty. So, yeah, he says that like streaming will be Phil Spencer says that streaming will be supplementary to consoles, basically. That you'll still have a box that exists in your house, but you will also be able to stream to like your phone and your other devices and your whatever.
but I imagine they'll make streaming not dependent on consoles. Like anyone can just go into their ecosystem, because that would be the better way of doing things. At least that's what I think. I think it would be way smarter to have anyone be able to join your ecosystem, whether they have a box or not.
Yeah, I mean that's the
Which I
idea.
imagine- yeah.
That's the idea
Yeah,
behind
I imagine
Google
that's their
Stadia.
plan.
If you got a thing that can run Chrome, you can theoretically run Google Stadia.
Yeah. But you
Emphasis
can't.
on the theoretically.
Nothing can run Google Stadia.
Google Stadia is look. Google Stadia is the hero we wanted, but it just wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it was it
Alright.
was the opposite of that.
So now into
It,
The
it
meat.
lived long enough to become the villain.
the what we want.
Star-crossed lovers have sullied my shore.
What's that?
Sure.
Destiny's
Trials
story.
is back, or coming back.
Yeah,
How do we feel?
we're gonna be playing it.
And in a none, a high
I think that's cool. I think
traitor.
they've had enough time to work on it. Maybe they could have brought something back, but they're bringing Trials of Osiris back.
Yes, no, they're
I
not
don't-
bringing back
I
Trials
think
of the
they're
9. They
trying to
said that
move away
Trials
from-
of the 9 would remain on hiatus, specifically, which means it's still a game mode. I just don't know
It's a
whether they're
separate
ever
thing.
going to do anything
Yeah, it's a
with it
separate
again.
thing. It's a separate thing, and I think that's probably a smart idea to differentiate it like that, because it wasn't great. And now that they've got Elimination Mode and they've been working on it for a while, I think Trials might be.
I
where it's
have
at.
many thoughts about Trials. Many
What are-
hot
what are they?
takes
What are
about
they? Come on.
Trials.
Hot takes.
So, let's start with the fact that I didn't play much of Trials in fact, pretty much any of Trials in Destiny 1. I think I played one round with you
maybe 4
one
games?
time, and I was like, this is not for me. I'm good. And that I was okay with that. That's not, I didn't have an issue with that. I want to put that out there
No.
right now. That I was okay with the PvP-centric game mode not being my cup of tea. I'm not particularly a PvP
Yeah.
person. I don't really care for the PvP. Although I do like to go into comp. I do like to get a little bit sweaty. Trials of the 9, however, I played a significantly sizable amount of
Larger
in
amount.
comparison to
You probably
Trials
played
of the 9.
magnitudes
I don't think I ever
more
went
because
flawless.
you played nothing of Trials of
Yeah.
Osiris.
But I think I'm gonna get fucking people are gonna be mad. I think Destiny
Alright.
2's vanilla sandbox was better, like vanilla PvP sandbox was better for a competitive game mode like Trials than Destiny 2's sandbox currently.
Yeah, that's fair. because you got shotguns and snipers and they have.
It was
and then you don't
slower.
have spawn
It was
sniping.
more considered. I think survival is a better game mode than elimination. I don't particularly like elimination, primarily because it's a 3v3 mode, and the 3v3 mode allows for you to, and because of like how resing and stuff works in elimination, 3v3 allows for you to carry people, and I don't think that should be possible at
I mean,
all.
survival's 3v.
This worm is radiating ether.
Survival is 3v3
But survival
now,
you can
but I
reach.
still don't think you can carry people through a survival game, whereas you can
Perhaps a
in.
mind-bender thought.
If you're good enough,
Yeah,
you
because if
can.
people keep dying in survival, you don't have lives.
Yeah.
Like your carrier doesn't have life. So you know.
Which
There are good
I
reasons
vehemently
why.
disagree with. I'm not against, like... I'm not, like, against helping people out. I'm not against, like, being your bro. But it's like, if...
Yeah.
I disagree with the idea that two people or even one person in a 3v3 game mode can literally just sit and do nothing and let the other people do everything. I don't think that's indicative of a super
That's how it should
sweaty,
work. Yeah.
super high level PvP arena. I don't think that's how that should work. I think
Yeah.
all three of you should be at the top of your game if you want to go flawless.
My issue is with trials is like with competitive game. The competitive game in general is literally just special armor. It's always been special armor, and that's always been my issue.
Well, there
I don't like snipers. I don't like shotguns. I don't like future rifles.
says the kid who has
I
20
don't think having an
billion
instant
kills
kill-
on near intel. Well, they
Yes,
they
but
are
that's out of
nerfing a lot of
necessity,
the.
right?
This is true. They are nerfing a lot of the
Yeah.
shot kill stuff.
If I didn't have to use
And so
air intel, I would.
going back to Trials, I think Trials D1 was lightning in a bottle, right?
Yep.
And I don't think you
It's
can
something
recapture
you can't
that. Right? I don't think
replicate,
Bungie will ever in a million, billion, trillion years be able to recapture that feeling. Ever. So I
Yeah,
think
and that's
they're
fair.
almost setting themselves up for failure. By bringing Trials back in such a manner, they're almost being like, look, we did it. We remade the thing that you loved so much. But it's not going to be the same. Like, it just won't be.
The thing is, they already failed, so it could just be better than. It's better than.
I think
Trials of the Night.
it's entirely possible that it'll be better than
Then
Trials
it's
of
a
the
win.
9. I don't think it'll be... I struggle to believe that it'll be as good as Trials D1. Actually,
Oh no.
good is probably the wrong term. I
It
struggle
depends
to
on-
believe that it will fill the same kind of place in the community that Trials D1 did.
Yeah. It depends on the rewards. It depends on what we're gonna get out of it. Because that was kind of what killed like Prestige, what killed the Trials. It's just. The
I don't even think that
rewards
is what killed Trials, though. I think it was just... Like,
Elimination was bad. Also, Survival was
Countdown
bad,
was
rather.
not a great mode. I'll freely admit that. I just think people sort of were like, this is not D1 Trials, thus I don't like it. And I think the sandbox at the time was not... was not as widely appealing, as, even though I think it was more indicative of competitive game mode.
Skill. It was more indicative of skill. If you could kill someone with your normal guns, and then maybe you can control the heavy so that you can get a couple more kills. It doesn't allow for as much snowballing, while the current meta is like mega snowballing. It's like just control the heavy and you're done.
See, and
But-
I disagree with that mentality. Like, I know you and I have both had conversations with this about like the competitive rule set currently in Destiny, not allowing any heavy weapons.
Yeah, I think that's stupid. I think that if
I've never
people are
been
going to control the heavy,
so close to the surface.
Yeah, I think
they're going to win anyway.
Reports from the
Yeah.
Hellmouth on Luna
like
don't
that was
even
kind of my point that I made to a lot of people, that like if you were like, heavy doesn't change the result of a game. It doesn't change the net result. It just changes how fast people get there. Like,
Yeah,
if you understand that
you
heavy
already
is a
have got
valuable
max
thing, and
control.
you're playing the heavy, controlling the heavy, you're probably a better player already, and you have the skill to control the heavy. You're probably a better player already than the other team, and you're probably going to beat them already. And heavy or no, that's
Yeah.
not going to change.
Yeah, but it does kind of create snowballing effects where you get more super, you get more special, you get more heavy, and then you just have instant kills just coming out of your ass. So that's kind of the issue there, and that's kind of why D1's vanilla, D2's vanilla sandbox probably plays into a better trials area, but they just didn't have trials very functional then, which was the problem. But you know,
Look, I'll
we'll
play
see.
more
We'll
of
see how it
Trials
goes.
this time around.
Yeah, we're gonna get a team together.
Once it
We only need one other
we
person.
might even like once it's like actually a legit thing. And like we've
Do a playthrough?
played a bunch of rounds.
Try and
I'll
get
probably
full-
put our first like full, if we can get a flawless, I'll put it up on the channel. And we might come back to this conversation and review how we feel. Because definitely, I think at the
We're not
time
gonna
of
get
D1 Trials, I wasn't particularly as into competitive stuff as I am now. Like I
Yeah.
much
just wanna
more
be good.
appreciate something that is difficult to do.
Playbook.
Yeah. That's because D1 had a lot of just competitive, not really difficult things to do. They had the raids, which were probably as difficult as they got.
I mean, Nightfall, like Vanilla D1 Nightfalls were like the
Nightfall
shit.
was pretty.
Now I think Nightfalls
Yeah,
are
and the Master
still like Master Nightfalls and GMs that are coming. I think they will be the shit. I think they will be the shiznit. I will think they will be the biggest spice.
Yeah, I don't even know how I'm going to go about doing those.
I really like the
Not
Master
easily.
Nightfall. I think it needs more seasonal attention to it. Like it needs to be, like the power level of it needs to be attuned every single season to coincide with the power upgrades we get, so it retains its difficulty.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's always like you're always going to be 20 levels below, or whatever it was for Shadowkeep.
Yeah.
But I think it's such a good idea. All right, so Trials is back. Those are our thoughts about Trials. However, given that Trials is back, there is also a whole host of subclass changes, and basically all the annoying shit that we hate is changing, and ideally becoming less annoying.
Yeah, I think Warlocks are getting better melee, which is finally.
Yeah, so
thing that's-
Warlock Melee has always been, I'm not playing Warlock, I'm playing Titan, but Warlock Melee has always been slower
It's always
than
been that.
other people's melees.
It's always had more range.
So it's
Range has never
yeah.
been.
So it's always been kind of like you have a hard time winning those punch 1v1s because the other two subclasses can hit faster than you can. So in order
Yeah, I
to
think
keep
Titan has the fastest, doesn't it?
I think
It might just have more damage.
no, Titan, they're all the same damage. I think there are certain Titan versions of Titan Punch that allow you to recover from a punch really quickly and go back into the next one faster than a Hunter, I believe.
Yeah.
So Titan
Yeah,
might have the
Hunters can
fastest,
usually punch.
but I would need to do like some frame by frame science
Spider, we cleared off the nest.
to be able to
Or you
like,
can just,
give
you know,
a
Google
definitive
it.
answer.
Quickly.
What, huh?
What if it was that easy?
You can just Google it.
I don't think this counts towards your
I could,
decks.
probably.
I want a fair trade.
But frame by frame science
It's
is always more
probably-
fun. Alright, so Warlock Melee is getting its... so in order to try and keep it still feel different to the other two melees, they're not changing its speed, but they're giving it a range buff. It used to be 4.5 meters, and now it is 5.5 meters that you can hit someone from. Which
That's a
might
big-
work
that's a
out.
big
I know
increase.
in D1 there was some shenanigans where like you could cross-map yeet people with Warlock Melee, and it was big silly. But we'll see how we go.
And Warlocks do have like ranged melee across the in every single subclass. I'm pretty sure now.
Yeah.
They've got Supernova. They've got the Celeste, the Hand of Fire or whatever. The three little balls, and the electrical, ranged ball.
Yeah. I don't think
So,
any
yeah,
of those
It should.
specific are being attuned. I think it's just the base melee. Alright, Titan
Yeah.
Barricades. are very, very useful in trials because you can throw them up and like res people and stuff. So they are getting a buff of 100 HP from 500 to 600, or from 400 to 500.
Yeah, that might just make
But they're going up.
Titans
However,
real dominant.
they are also snipers, grenade launchers, linear fusions, LMGs, trace rifles,
Special ammo and heavy ammo.
and trace
Basically.
rifles get a 30% damage buff against them, and anything with an anti-barrier mod on it as well will also get or an anti-barrier weapon will get a 30% damage buff against it.
That's cool, 'cause
Shotguns,
that'll actually change the meta per season.
shotguns and fusions get a 60% buff. So basically, the barricades are going to be big and spicy, but you're going to need to spend that green or that purple to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Handheld Supernova.
You
The
should-
bane of your existence. Handheld Supernova.
Look, honestly, handheld supernova is fine as compared to shoulder charge.
I think
Shoulder
that's
charge is
probably
shit.
your opinion.
Shoulder charge is
alone.
my least
I think
favorite
it's
thing
basically
in the
just because
entire
I've
world.
yeeted you so many times with shoulder charge. And what specifically
Yeah, like, it
annoys
shouldn't
you
be
about
allowed.
shoulder charge is getting changed. Because it is very silly. So
Yeah,
handheld
it's stupid.
supernova is basically getting rammed into the
Escaped
ground a
prisoners
little
are
bit.
destabilizing the region.
So it has a plus 0.6 activation time. So it takes longer to activate.
A little bit longer, yeah.
You can only hold it for a second less than you could before. It has 20% less range, 25% less spread, so it doesn't spread as wide, and a 0.5% or 0.5 meter blast radius sort of confinement. So it's getting made a lot tighter and a lot more controlled, less so you can just sit behind a corner and hold it, and then when someone walks around, you throw it at them and you win the game.
It's running the whole prison through some kind
Yeah,
of combat.
which is good. There's
Which
a
is
lot
good
of
stuff.
There's a lot of that going around at the moment, which is just like, let's hide in a corner and shotgun people as they turn around.
Dude, I'll do it.
Which
I'm not
is-
afraid.
I'm mad about it. Like I was using 2 scout rifles today.
The weighted
and
knife?
Literally everyone's.
Prisoner transport.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
No,
Is
go
that gonna
ahead.
change? No. Is that going? I want to know if that's going to change.
It's aim assist is getting reduced, I believe, so it'll be slightly less silly, and you'll actually have to like hit people in the head to hit them in the head, and not just kind of like vaguely in the head area. I didn't
hard.
actually write
Even-
down its what specifically is getting changed about. I don't know why I didn't. And strikers and shoulder charges, like sort of tracking lock-on thing that it does is also getting a pretty sizable adjustment. So you can't do like mid-strike 90-degree turns.
You can't be in the sky. 'Cause it's
I think
stupid. It's
when
so
Dado
dumb.
talked about these nerfs, he showed off like he would run past someone when he was at the right moment, do a shoulder charge, get a 90-degree turn and kill them. Which apparently that's going away. Which is like, look, my
Which is
heart
good.
hurts because I love those moments. They're great, but also they're really fucking stupid, and
There's-
they probably shouldn't happen.
Yeah, fuck you. Absolutely fuck you. You don't deserve
that's
this.
fair. That's
no one
okay.
deserves this.
It's a little silly. I'll freely admit that it's a little dumb.
Yeah. Like, I'm fine with the Erentil nerf, as long as everything else gets nerfed too, because Erentil is literally the only way I can with your shenanigans. Oh shit.
Yeah, so we might go into a private game after the nerfs come out and see whether or not I can still 90-degree turn yeet your ass with shoulder charge.
Yeah.
Or like
Because I was
how...
playing like Dodgy Hunter, and like he was still
Yeah, dude.
pretty
It's great.
simply
It's a
there
riot.
to me. I hate it. My least favorite thing.
Alright, so... Bungie isn't... they don't talk specifically about what they're gonna do to these subclasses, but they've noticed that top tree Stormcaller, bottom tree Striker, and bottom tree Arcstrider get far and away the most usage of anything. They have the most kills, like, across the whole everything, like, everywhere. They have the most kills, they have the highest
Okay.
win ratio, they have the best everything. So they are going to bring them all down a little bit so that they're not as good, and at the same time buff the
That's
underperforming
interesting.
subclasses, Voidwalker bottom tree, Nightstalker bottom tree, and Striker middle tree.
That's great, because I actually like Voidwalker bottom tree. I think it's amazing.
So
Yeah,
they're
can't
gonna.
wait
They
for that
don't.
buff.
Again, they don't specifically talk about what they're gonna do for those
Hopefully
subclasses,
they make
but
it
just
so
that they
the
will
other one
be
just
sort of
nukes.
brought to the middle somewhere, so that the top ones are less, just so much better than everything else on offer.
Yeah.
Which is always good. I know people have a cry about nerfs. They're always like, "Why don't you just buff everything?" Which is like, no.
Because buffing
Get
everything
out,
else would
leave.
take just as long.
I mean, it's not
That's
even that
why.
because it would take just as long. It's, you know, power creep? Question
take
mark?
longer.
No? Alright, we'll just yeet everyone instantly? No worries.
Also, yeah, time to kill is not like having a short time to kill is fun, but it's also like only for a little while until you're the one getting yeeted. Short time to kill is not great. Doesn't feel as fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, building on all of this, Luke Smith put out a director's cut for 2020. I titled it Director's Cut 2022, which is not what it's called at all. It's Director's Cut 2020.
There were Red Legion in here?
And this
Why
is kind of...
2022?
I just
We're
look,
like,
I don't know,
that's 2 years
dude.
away.
I don't know what happened.
But they lost everything.
It was supposed to be a 0, but it wasn't.
My God.
Alright. So this is kind of like a vague summary. The whole thing will be in the description, and I recommend that everyone read it, because it's very interesting. To talk about sort of, to look at sort of the way Bungie thinks about Destiny, and sort of what page they're on, and whether or not they're on the same page as you.
Yeah, they're just trying to ask some questions. That's smart. Get some consumer feedback.
I mean,
Figure
it's
it
not
out.
even like consumer feedback. It's more just like Luke Smith being like, this is what we feel is working right, this is what we feel needs adjustments, and this is vaguely how we're going to do it. He very rarely gives any, like, specific detail about how they intend to do a thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Outside of a couple of, like, sort of kind of patch notes type stuff that's just like, getting rid of this thing. Alright, so a lot of it is about aspiration. Luke Smith actually says, we need to refuel aspiration in Destiny. That's a direct quote.
Alright. So that's
Because
where
there
they're
is
going.
not enough
Again, some aspiration.
aspirational content in Destiny. That's not the So,
Yeah.
he talks about the season pass, and he says, he sort of outlines the 3 things they think it did well, or I think I only listed 2 of them because I didn't think the third thing was really worth talking about. The narrative structure is really good. He says that, like, you know, getting to save Saint 14 and, like, the way each season kind of leads into the next season is really good, and they really like where that's going.
They're doing that whole what was their goals in the
Single evolving
post
world.
before Shadowkeep? Yeah, single evolving world.
Which is, they talk about that specifically.
They're
How they
doing that.
don't think they're
Yeah.
making an evolving world.
Oh, alright.
Like, I think narratively
think
they're
it's
making
kind
an
of
evolving world, but
stagnating.
gameplay-wise they're not. And we'll
Yeah,
get to that.
Yeah,
And they
that's-
think
that's-
the
yeah.
season pass and, like, the simplicity of leveling it up is good as well. Like, the fact that it doesn't require you to go to a specific activity and do a specific thing and a specific set of bounties. It's just like, you play the game, you get the stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you just do things. Nice. Alright.
Alright,
So what's the play now?
so, single evolving world. He says that we're not evolving the world of Destiny. We are adding to it and then taking away from it.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, they're evolving...
They're evolving the
their
narrative, they're
formulas, I
evolving what
guess.
is going on, like, sort of narratively, but they're, in terms of, like, the core gameplay function of Destiny. They add a thing, and then they take the thing away, and then they add a thing that's usually rather simple. And again,
Yeah.
they talk about this
Well,
is
in
a
D1
technical...
we didn't have that sort of...
Yeah. So he talked about how this is sort of
we had-
it's a technical necessity because, you know, as he said in the previous director's cut, the game can't evolve forever. Like, it can't just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, both in terms of ability to, like, consumability for the player and, like, development time and things like that.
Waits below.
Destiny just isn't designed that way. That's just not how it works. That's just not how it's ever gonna work.
That's just not how the real world works.
You can't just forever
Actually,
add
they're
to
doing it so
Destiny.
well.
Because then you get to a point where there are so many things that you have to maintain, and you just can't help but neglect all of them. Some of them. Like, look at Gambit and Reckoning.
Yeah.
Gambit
Like
and Reckoning
Reckoning.
definitely need some adjustments that they will never, ever get, because Bungie just don't have those kind of resources, or those kind of time to tune up a fucking activity that no one fucking plays anyway.
I always hated her.
Yeah.
But she made me laugh.
So
People
he
wanna
talks
play
about,
it, but,
Ready for the biggest
in order
gunfight
to
ever
kind of,
fought in prison? That crazy servitors down here.
yeah, so the world doesn't change long term, and on top of that, they also want to reduce the, like, fear of missing out, that, like, people feel they have to play every single season, otherwise they will miss out. Which
Yeah,
actually,
like I'm kind of missing out on Sundial, and I'm like, yeah, that sucks. But look, it's kind of similar to what I think we're gonna get next season anyway, so that's kind of the only reason I'm not buying it.
yeah, I still remember when they announced the fact that, like, seasonal activities would be retired. The guy in the YouTube comments who was like, I hate this, it makes me feel like I have to play every single season, and it's like, it's almost as if that's exactly the point, to get you to engage with the game long term. Shocking, right? So I think it's admirable that they're trying to move away from such a aggressive strategy towards long-term engagement.
Yeah. But yeah, it's actually really nice because, like,
And going towards,
if
like,
I don't-
there will be a thing to do, there will be a way for everyone to engage with the season. And he talks about building, like, themes of a season into, like, Strikes and Crucible and Gambit, that all of them should change, and they should change permanently because of every season.
I'll clean up behind you.
Yeah.
I think he uses the
That
term
would be- that
to
would be very
galvanize Strikes. I don't really know what the term galvanize means, so I avoided using it.
Yeah, I don't know what he means in that context.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says, like, the team wants to move away from putting in an activity and then taking it away. They want to make long-term changes, because that plays into the idea of a single evolving world.
Because even when they changed Gambit to Gambit Prime, they kind of just, like, neglected Gambit.
Yeah.
Instead, they just created Gambit
But I think,
Prime, and they were like, yeah.
given the way they've spoken about what they want to do with seasons and how it allows them to sort of tune up one part of the game and then tune up another part of the game, I think we will come back to Gambit at some point. I hope. I pray, because I really like Gambit. I just think
Gambit's fun.
It needs a bit of love. It needs someone to take it in and, you know, put a blanket around it and give it a warm meal.
Yeah.
Maybe a shower.
I would do that.
It's starting to smell a little.
I don't know how to
Maybe
make
a set of
video
clean
games.
clothes.
Yeah. Maybe a new drifter. Maybe their own drifter.
Yeah. So sort of building off that, he says that, like, we haven't created an environment that creates player engagement with other players. Like, other players exist and you see them, but you don't have to engage with them outside of, like, top tier PvP and top tier PvE stuff. Like,
Right.
they just kind of exist there and they do a thing. Like, even in Strikes and Crucible and stuff, they just kind of exist. You don't actually have to engage with them. And again, they want to move away from that.
Yep, that's admirable.
They want to, you know, they want to create sort of... I think of things like the, what's the event on the moon? The, with all the hive and the bubbles and the kill the things.
I don't know what it's called.
You know what I'm talking about?
Can't help you. I know what you're talking about.
Right?
I just did it. Because I was
It's in
doing the
Sora's Harbor?
Shadowkeep DLC. yeah, I know what you're talking about. I have
Altars
no
of
clue what it's
Sorrow.
called.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think of things like
Altars
that,
of
but
Sorrow.
things like that
I
that
came up
are
with it.
really intense and really difficult. Because, like, Altars of Sorrow and things like that are really good. You know, it's really cool to be around, like, 6 other people that are, like, throwing supers and heavy ammo and doing crazy stuff. Like, that stuff's really cool. But it doesn't happen enough. The world of Destiny doesn't create environments that pursue that. Not really.
Delve into its very core to find Brachion.
All right,
But
so
yeah, hopefully they'll figure out the formula.
It's your duty to exact vengeance on my behalf.
I believe. I've faith
the
in
low
Bungie.
pressure gates.
All right, so next he
Zachary.
talks about
Zach.
weapon retirement, which is apparently a contentious thing. Some people just want to be able to use the same thing forever and ever and ever and never have to change ever. I'm not one of those people. I like it when the game forces me to, you know, create new loadouts and do new stuff. I'm not particularly a fan of the idea that I can just use Recluse forever in every activity ever.
Yeah. Look, that's fair. It's more
And
than
I think
fair,
in
honestly,
terms
'cause
of
Recluse.
building a game and an evolving world and a game that is continually engaging month over month, year over year, I think weapon retirement is incredibly important. And if you don't agree with me there, you will probably never agree.
There's no way for us to know if
Yeah.
you're busy fighting.
Though
or if
you
you've
gotta be a little bit more adaptable. All right, change is good. Change is always good, even if it's bad to begin with.
Yeah, so he
Just
talks
means that
about
Bungie learnt their lesson.
yeah, he talks about not retiring weapons creates power creep. Because you know it's the age-old problem of
We have Recluse.
to create something that is a more engaging chase than Recluse, is a more interesting piece of loot than Recluse. You have to make something that is better. And while I do think that speaks to the sort of one-dimensional nature of the sandbox in Destiny, the fact that damage is the thing that matters over everything else ever 100% of the time. And I would like that to change. I would like there to be things that matter in an adjacent concept to damage. I think it would deepen the sandbox, but for the time being, damage is the thing that matters. And in order to create an engaging piece of loot, it has to do more damage than the last engaging piece of loot.
Yeah, which is problematic to a degree. I mean, you've got like Divinity, which is actually like interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm talking about. Like
Not-
things that
but
like
it's
you know, things that engage more with like classes. You know, weapons that heal people, weapons that buff people, weapons that do things other than just big damage all day every day. And I think there is
exactly.
missed opportunity to engage with that. Although I do think the sandbox would need
more build synergies would be
deeper
very interesting.
change
Look at
to do it, I
Borderlands
think.
3. You've got a lot of just weird, wacky things like the Phoenix relic that takes your health down to 1 for some strange reason. But like, you could absolutely find a build that just plays with that.
Yeah. Although I do think that like barrier champions and overload champions and like things like Divinity do deepen the sandbox in some way, that it's not like you just need damage all the time. You need a weapon that is useful in certain circumstances versus other weapons. I think it is still ultimately damage is king. Something that does more damage than something else will always be better. It's why you know it's the you know the outlaw kill clip issue. Outlaw and kill clip are hands down forever and always will be the best PvE perks on any gun ever, period, because they increase damage.
Yeah, even though Rampage was kind of where it was at for a while.
Yeah,
And
Rampage, kill clip,
is
multi-kill
generally
clip,
the
like
choice.
perks that increase damage
But
are
it's
verbatim
anything that
across the board
increases-
better than a perk that does not.
Yeah. Dude, I'm on fire.
Dude, put yourself out. Yeah, so they're going to bring back weapon retirements. He says you should still be able to use whatever you want in core activities, so in like strikes and core PvP, you should still be able to just equip whatever nonsense you want. It sounds to me kind of like the sort of balancing they use in like a card game. I think Dado even said that in his video.
I have not spoken to my old fire
Yeah.
team since.
That like,
Which is
you know,
fair.
in a competitive card game mode, you can only use the latest stuff.
So we proved the resilience of
And then they have like a wild playlist, which is just like anything goes, throw whatever crazy shit you want at the wall and see what happens.
Though I was kind of happy when they announced this, because that means like Recluse, Aaron Till, those sorts of things might get retired from PvP. Which, I mean, if those things get retired from Trials of Osiris, that's that's exactly what we want. That's exactly the
Yeah, so
play
in the coming
Oh.
months, certain legendaries will have an infusion cap. You won't be able to infuse them past a certain point. He does not say that exotics have to live, which I think is fair enough. I think, you know, exotics are, you know, there are treasures, there are uber powerful things that should always be powerful and always be useful.
Yeah, they're a choice. There should be more of them that kind of are a little bit more niche, I think. Just to... There's a lot of people choosing Ace. Yeah, like just...
But like as I say, I think that's fine. I think it's fine that a lot of people are using Izanagi right now. If 3 years from now a lot of people are still using Izanagi, then it's a problem.
Yeah,
which is
like
what
you could think
weapon
of
retirement
D1.
does.
If we're still, if D1 was still a game and we were all still using Yamahorn, you know, like what would be the? It would become very stale. It would be very stale.
I think
and
Luke
what
does
Bungie doing
specifically talk
it's very
about
smart.
weapon refinement and like cycling weapons in and out like that gives Bungie the ability to make exotics that are verbatim better than exotics, and other exotics and legendaries, and they don't, when they're making a new gun, they don't have to consider balancing it against every single other gun ever in all of Destiny's history, and every gun that will ever be in Destiny. They only have to consider about balancing it, about what is currently available in the current sort of, they say 9 to 15, he says specifically a 9 to 15 month period.
Okay, so a whole DLC period.
Yeah, which I think is fair enough. I think a
DLC.
year is where it's at. I think 9 months is a little short. I think 15 months is a little too much. A year is
Well, 9
what I
months
like.
is probably
If the Taken have not misaligned the Pyramidian
the
space
whole
geometric
seasons.
intuition.
All the seasons are done.
Gesundheit.
Actually, no. Do we get
I did
4?
not sneeze, you fool.
I
we
think
get-
technically we get 4
Infinite-dimensional functional space.
because
The
we got
thanks
Season of the Undying,
No, why am I wasting my breath?
whereas we didn't get Season of the Outlaw. We just got Forsaken. So Bungie's like, it's more, but it's not really.
Yeah. Dude, that guy is that duck.
What?
Nothing.
Alright, that's fine. And
If anyone listens to the podcast, they'll get it.
I don't get it. And I'm here.
Yeah. Alright.
Alright, whatever.
What else?
So he
What
kind
else
of
we
ends
got?
off with some super duper quick, like as I say, sort of patch notey type stuff. So faction rallies are gone and they're never coming back ever. They didn't promote enough player engagement, and like they were not worth the development resources to make. No one really cared about them, so they're gone. And the
What's gone? What's gone?
faction rallies, they're gone.
Oh. Okay, cool.
The armor and weapons though will be cycled into like legendary angles and like world drop kind of stuff that you will just see pop up over the coming months, which I think is fine.
Okay.
I mean, big sad, no factions anymore. I think I would like to see the factions come back. I get it though.
I think faction rallies is a good gone. Factions as a whole should still be a thing. I think like weapon foundries should honestly be where that goes. I feel like having like more
Yeah, so
interesting
as
weapon
of-
foundries,
as
kind
of
of like
Season 10,
Borderlands, would be pretty interesting.
Faction stuff will start dropping in
now be
world
arriving
drops,
on the shore
and
to the
Bright
Lake
Engrams will no longer be purchasable
Oh,
right through
Not a pit?
the store.
What pit? There is no pit in
Bright
the
Engrams.
Pyramidian.
Alright.
Yeah. Just because like
I mean,
shit
yes.
with the like loot
Silly
boxes
me.
and things,
Here's the lake now.
I'm sure Bungie doesn't want to get in trouble, so
Yeah.
they're just like, we'll just get rid of it. Doesn't matter. You'll still be able to get them
My
in the
projections
season
show
pass,
that you reached the synthoneural terminus at the center of the lake.
Yeah.
like through the season pass, but you won't be able to directly buy them anymore.
Should still technically be able to buy them, but you know,
Destroy it.
not also
Make it suffer.
like they're very
It is
easy to get.
not a metaphor.
Yeah, I regularly have a full stack of them because I just don't care about anyone to them. Actually,
I think I'm only
did
like
did I tell you I got the flip out emote, which is like a year one emote that I've been trying to
Yeah.
get for fucking 100 years. Oh, it's good times.
Since the beginning.
And New Light
Yeah.
is getting adjusted for full 20%. Luke says that it was kind of
Just-
like, well, pretty much everyone has sort of said that like it was very much designed for you to have a friend to take through you in the experience. I think I described it to you yesterday as the Warframe problem, where it just kind of like dumps you in a world and is like, all right, you fucking figure it out.
You just it's your job. But yeah.
And I think Destiny is a game that is big enough and with enough complexities to it that it needs a little bit more touching up.
Yeah.
And I think Bungie probably put it out in the way that they put it out because they broke away from Activision and they were seeing like, all right, we want a free-to-play version. What's the quickest and dirtiest way for us to do that? New Light. Let's make it happen. And Bungie is a game that
they could just make the MVP and then if it works, then people will be happy about it.
And yeah, Destiny's always been a game that's kind of like, at its core, has had community engagement about it. And so I think it wasn't a bad idea for them to be like, for them to just assume that you would always have a friend with you to take you through and show you the ropes.
Yeah, but it is a lot to assume.
But like, if there's just nothing, if it's just zero things ever, then yeah, it can be a bit daunting. All right, so
is that the podcast?
That's it. That's all I've got written down. Any final remarks about anything?
I don't have any remarks ever. Like. That's just my thing. That's my MO. Peddling that from now on. Just no more remarks.
Dude, that's actually not a bad name for a podcast. No more remarks. Rename the podcast. No more remarks.
Rename the podcast.
Down like a ton of bricks.
No more remarks.
We could.
Yes.
Dude, there's probably. I mean, we could. If you view the podcast, comment below. Say cheese.
Alright, that's gonna be it. I'm gonna kill the stream. And,
oh man, same.
we will, see you next week. We'll see you on YouTube, or, see you around.
Yeah, we'll see you around.
Actually,
Hello,
I might...
welcome to the podcast.
Just... shut up. Get out. Leave. Fired.